Welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy here at Tamarac with Kyle Daly, and Kyle is a ranger out here, and he's studying the woodcock, and he's going to talk a little bit about his studies and what you're learning with your research.
Yeah, my studies on woodcock revolve around habitat use. Mainly, we're incorporating our management practices on habitat here at Tamarac and looking at how the woodcock are responding to those. Primarily how the population is hopefully being boosted by our management.
Okay. All right. And talk a little bit about this area that we're standing in.
So this area is a prime mixture of some of the prime habitat that the woodcock use. Right now we're kind of standing in this low grassland type area, which is perfect for roosting as well as the male displaying areas. And if you look past us, we kind of get in some more shrubby habitat, which is great for nesting and brood rearing. So, and then even in some of the more mature 20-year-old aspen stands, which is even better for feeding habitat. So.
All right, and why is it? Why you're studying? Are they in danger of becoming endangered, or?
No, they're not considered an endangered species, but they have been named nationally and at the state level as a species of critical conservation need. Over the last 60 years, the population has declined 1% per year, so that compounds over time. So we're seeing these long-term declines in the population. So for the last 60 years, based on some of our estimates we take, some of the biology estimates we take, the population has really dropped off. Okay. So, and that's mainly due to loss of this type of habitat, due to development or allowing this shrubland to grow up into a mature forest.
All right, Kyle, and so when did you start studying this?
I started about 2 years ago. Wayne Brenniger, our refuge biologist, started a project here on brood survival of American woodcock, and I, at that point, was an intern working with him in the summer, tracking broods and looking at how they're surviving over the summer months. And then from that, I incorporated this into my thesis research with the University of Minnesota in the Twin Cities, and have been doing it since. So, and this is now my third year, and I'll be doing it for another year after this. Okay. So
I'm here today at Tamarac National Wildlife Refuge with Kyle Daly, who is studying the woodcock, and we're going to take a break and come back and talk a little bit about how he studies them after this. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy, standing here with Kyle Daly, and no, I'm not standing in a hole. Kyle's just really tall, and he is studying the woodcock out here at Tamarac. And Kyle, you have some equipment here that we're going to talk about how you actually are out in the field studying it.
Yeah, sure. So our main equipment revolves around radio telemetry, which is used in a lot of wildlife research. It's a way to mark the animals and then track them down afterwards. So this I'm holding in my hand is actually a radio that we put on the adult woodcock, mainly on the hens, and this is attached to their back and then wrapped around their front, so, and then crimped into place. So this allows us to then, once we get the hens or the adult birds marked with these, we can take out our receiver here. This is a receiver, and then this is the antenna right here. And this allows us to pick up the signal that the radio transmitter will put off.
Okay, do you want to open that up?
Yeah, sure. This is not so much fun to drag this antenna around in the brush. It gets caught on a lot of things, so usually leave it.
Are these woodcocks easily frightened? I mean, or do you get all set up and kind of just sit and watch for them?
Actually, they're not very frightened, especially the males. They'll allow you to walk right up to them almost and watch them, especially if they're displaying. Depending on what time of year it is, they do get a little bit more flighty. But usually woodcock are known for sitting very tight to where they are. So their main defense against predation is hiding. So they have really great camouflage.
Are they hiding right here now?
They're probably all around us. We just don't know it right now. So, yeah.
All right. Do they come out, like it's sprinkling a little bit right now, or do they come out, when it's sunny, or do they have a certain time of the day they're out?
They're crepuscular, which means that they're usually more active at dawn and dusk, okay, and around those times. They will be a little active during the day, depending on the type of season. If it's summer, they might be in some really dense cover to stay cool and away from predators. So.
And are they here all year round, or when do they come and do they migrate?
They are migratory birds. They usually leave in October, and then will return usually around mid-March. So they're very early migrants back. So they'll be back here before the snow gets off usually. So.
All right. Okay. So you've got all this funky equipment here.
Yep. And this just allows us to tune into the frequency of the birds. You can see the knobs on it. That allows us to tune into the individual frequency. Also, when we capture the birds, we'll take a GPS point at each of the locations where we find the birds, also at the capture site. And while we have the birds in hand, we're also take different measurements on them. So we'll weigh them, we'll take bill length measurements, and then we'll also band the birds here. Okay. So these are the bands we use to individual numbers, and these will identify the birds. So do you get to track them, do you track the birds for how long? We'll track the adult hens from the time we capture them until they migrate in the fall. Okay. So we're looking at April all the way through October.
Okay. And then where does all this data get sent to, and how is it used again?
This data I'll write up during my thesis report and hopefully get some publications out of it to journals. And it'll be used for as a report back to how our management is working. So if our management's working properly and hopefully boosting woodcock populations. So.
Okay, very good. Kyle Daly here with me at Tamarac National Wildlife Refuge on Hometown Happenings, and we're talking about the woodcock, some of his research that he's doing. Now, Kyle, are you're with the National Wildlife Service? So what is your future? What are your future plans?
After I graduate with my master's, I'll be incorporated into the service as a full-time refuge biologist. Okay. So I'm looking forward to that very much.
All right. And you just kind of get sent anywhere, or do you have a kind of a wish list of where you'd like to be, or it doesn't work that way?
I do have a wish list. It doesn't quite work that way. It's kind of a cooperative agreement with them. They can send me anywhere in the Midwest. However, I'd like to stick to the upper Midwest, Minnesota, Wisconsin, or Michigan. Okay. So more of the forested areas.
All right. And how did you get interested in this line of work?
Oh, boy. Starting way back just as a child, growing up in the outdoors. And I'm from Ohio originally, so we don't necessarily have these large plots of land that are forested. We have a lot of agriculture, especially where I'm from. So just a little experience there, and then going to college and exploring it more and more, and finally interning and then finding the right fit.
Okay. All right. So it all starts when you're young, and you keep that going. Well, Kyle Daly here at Tamarac National Wildlife Refuge, thank you so much. Studying the woodcock here in the Minnesota area, and hopefully the research will be used throughout the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that's it for Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy.